Welcome back to another one of my parading the troops short videos. Here is one that I recently finished up painting and organising. There is still little bits to do. I want to do the bases. I'm not actually going to, other than paint them green, that's all I'm going to do with the bases admittedly. And there are a few transfers I need to put down, and then I need to put some a banner on the paladins. But once that's done, the army is done. This army you might have already seen, or bits of it you might have already seen if you've watched the old world videos. I have played this army now, correct me if I'm wrong, twice. Yes, or I should say forces from this army have been used twice, both against goblins with a win and a lose. First was a win because I just rolled him completely with cavalry, and the second one was I kind of just went, I'm going to lose this one, so I'm willingly going to step away from this. Also, the Green Knight never turned up, which annoyed the ever-loving hell out of me. 275 views, 250 odd points. He was only slightly more cheaper than that guy on the giant Grand Pegasus. Anyway, enough with that. That's the luck of the dice. So this is my Bretonnian army for the old world. Bit of a mishmash of companies that I bought. I've purchased figures from. There are 3D printed figures in here. There is also stuff from the Great Satan, and there's also stuff from places like Fireforge, and even from Perry's for certain units, because they're just cheaper than the Great Satan, so why would I bother? And the sculpts are nice, and I like the figures. Anyway, so the mainstay of any Bretonnian army is, of course, it's charging knights. So we'll start here and go through them. Have a look. Now, these two lances here, this one and this one, are both straight out of the box set, the Bretonnian army box set, which is what I purchased. And instead of following their colour guide and going, oh, everybody wears the colour of their lord, I went, no, they're knights, they wear their own heraldry. And that's what I did. You might see some family linkages in amongst the colours and the heraldry on the knights. But of course they would. Technically he's not supposed to be green. Green is, but I don't care, I'm going to leave him as the only green one there. Now this lance of knights, which is 8, these two are made up of 6. This is made up of 8 knights, is, let me see, Bretonnian bits added on to Fireforge knight bodies and horses and such. So they are slightly smaller. They are a little bit, it's a little bit odd. When you look at them, I'll be honest, I don't think you can really tell too much if you stood at sort of normal heights. When you get down into them, you can kind of tell that arms and heads are a little bit big on them. I think it's sort of somewhat obvious with this guy. But otherwise, they fit, in my opinion. I'm not going to complain about it. And then we have one of my special characters that I created. This is the Green Knight. Yes, there is a perfectly good figure of him. No, I'm not buying it. I had a figure left over, so I figured I'd make him myself. And done up in his green, with green wash, on his monster horse, with his Dolores blade, which I've actually done with the green tint. I took the colour scheme and I basically just ran with it. Okay, so more knights, because of course that's what you always want. These are my Pegasus knights. They're free. They're the free that you get in the base box. You can have a colour bearer, a musician, give them different weapons, but I just decided I'm probably going to always run it as a pure free knight. There's just these 3. They are, in theory, the 3 sons of the lord, of my baron. So they get the cool, awesome Pegasi. Monstrous creatures that they are. As you can see, they have their bloodied hooves, because Pegasuses, canonically, are not nice creatures. And even in the books of the old world, when they talk about them, they're angry flying horses, and they will kill you. Anyway, moving on to the female element, because you have to have that representation. I have my 3 damsels of the lady. So 1 on foot, 1 on a war horse, riding side saddle, of course, correctly. And the third one, which is basically another powerful wielding monster on a magic wielding monster riding a magic wielding monster. Because unicorns are also not nice creatures. They will kill you because they don't care, because they're monsters. And as you can see, he has been, or she, he, it, whatever it is, has been appropriately done in purple, because pretty. See if that actually comes through. Yeah, I think it does, more or less. purpley sort of unicorn with appropriately bloodied hooves, and you have the damsel on her warhorse. I kind of got bored of just doing like bright green, so I went with a different shade of green for the lady. She has a staff with her sword, and then the foot. When I want to do a foot army, I have a damsel in lovely purple robes, very flowing, very nicely done, standing barefoot on a stone for some reason. All three of these ladies, for some reason, are all barefoot. Don't know. Never know. Anyway, and just a sort of a comment about it. That is totally not my wife's hair colour. And on to the Lord of the Land, or his three incarnations. So we have the foot, which is a Perry's Knight. The warhorse mounted with his falcon, which is a Fire and Forge Knight with a couple of extra bits done on. He also has a shield. And then the version that you get in the box set itself, which is the Grand Pegasus mounted lord. Odd one. This is something that actually annoyed me about the set, was you get two bodies to use, one with a sword, one with a lance. They've literally designed it so that if you want to have the lance, you have to have the helmeted version. If you want to have the sword, you have to take this version. So he's got the open helmet. I wanted a lance. He's the guy who always gets the joust. He is there to stab things violently and aggressively with great glory for the lady. So he needs a lance. And yeah, a little bit annoying. Some of the details. He is quite big as a Grand Pegasus as well, with his barbing. Just a look at the body. I did have to do a little bit of hacking and cutting. Most of it was just trying to rejig the arm round and getting the head onto the body and stuff like that. I think this body and head are the ones that go together, and the arm had to be hacked around a little bit. It's annoying. All I'll say is it is annoying. Cool. And then on to the last of the knights. My Grail Knights. These are 3D printed figures based not at all on the Bretonnian Knights. The guy did actually have proper Grail Knights in quotes, but I just like the generic ones, and I was just going to paint them up so they all have their own heraldry. Slightly more complicated on these, rather than just being single colours, cloth over the horses. They are properly done, multicoloured, Pegasus is getting away. Multicoloured as best I can, so it's the shield. So it's not just the shield, but their entire heraldry is very, very visible, because they are lots of gold, because they are ultimately Grail Knights, so they are champions. And then finally, Foot Knights. These are Perry's 100 Years War Knights. So they are far more heavily armed and armoured. Lots of two-handed weapons, baggy clothing. The shield, again, it's that thing where as 100 Years War was coming into it, shields were becoming less and less useful because the armour was so thick and heavy and was capable of withstanding a lot of damage. So that's why you get these sort of recurved shields. But as I had lots and lots of extra sort of kite shields and stuff, so they get it. They are supposed to have a banner. I will organise that at some point again, much like with the paladins. They will get, these guys will get proper little banners. And then the stooges, if you will, of the Baron, or the Lord, is the Paladin. So basically foot and horse-mounted versions. The horse-mounted versions came from the Fire and Forge Knight set, and the two foot-mounted versions are two excesses that I had left over from the Perry's Knights. Big banner poles I just created out of bits of sprue and lances and such that I had left there lying around. Okay, now peasantry, because you always need some moving terrain to stop the enemy from attacking your knights. So we'll start with the, in theory, what are supposed to be semi-nobles, which are squires. They look more like, I don't know, Robin Hood is maybe banned. That's what I kind of designed them around anyway, because, you know, stereotypes, and why not? I'm a very imaginative person. So you get a musician, the commander of the group, and a colour bearer, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so, including Little John, who are archers. Again, good thing about Bretonnians is that when it comes to them having bows, though the mounted yeomanry get short bows, everyone else gets a long bow, and it is armor bane and stuff like that, and that's got some very long range, so bringing a rain of arrows is always handy. This is the first of my 3 men-at-arms banners. So these are the yellow with the black cross, which is a group of 6. They have a champion, colour bearer, musician, and a Grail monk with his triple attack. Shields, because again, greatest thing about the Bretonnians, in my opinion, is that everything is very set. There are a couple of options you can alter out, but most of their troops are very much set in their ways, and you don't really alter it. This is the second group of men-at-arms, again also from Games Workshop. Both at men-at-arms so far from Games Workshop. They've come out the main box set. These are green with the white rose. These guys have actually done really well. For some reason the green works, because in a game when no one managed to get off any spells, I got one off that basically kept them alive. The lady's chosen, I guess. And then my 3D printed unit, this is a bigger unit. Also men-at-arms. Also have a Grail Knight, which are a Grail Monk added onto it, but a drummer, colour bearer, and a champion to lead them. And this is got 3 extra guys into it, so instead of be, I'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 14, 21. So there's 21 of them instead of there being 18. And quickly, so my 1 banner of archers, of longbowmen. So there's 12 of them there. They have, in this case, they are modelled with their stakes in the ground and the fire at the back. This allows them to, this gives them basically fire attacks. Doesn't really do much, it just stops any things like trolls having their regeneration saves. And then the other group, again, they are unfortunately missing 1 man, but they are a 11-man unit of archers. Both have a champion, a villain, though this one has a musician to go with him. Also, fire and a pair of stakes in the ground. And then my other Fire and Forge, I think these were sergeants at arms. I could be wrong, it could be either mounted sergeants or sergeant at arms. I'm not too sure which box set it was I bought, because one came with bows and arrows or crossbows or something, and the other was just lances and stuff, because these guys didn't have that. So I think these are the sergeants at arms, the mounted sergeants. So big hefty kite shields. I used one of the lances as a colour pole, as a banner pole, because why not? Champion, musician, a solid unit. They can have fire and flee, which allows them to shoot and then run away, or feigned flight, which allows them to basically go, we're out, and run away. They're trying to get attacked, which is very useful, except when you're my friend Robin with his goblins, where it doesn't work and he ends up causing massive explosions and poppings of his own units. Oh yes, before I forget, these 2. So these are my, hang on, sergeants. These are the actual sergeants. So these are, in Bretonnia, these are mounted yeomen, men-at-arms, peasant bowmen, squires. These 2 are sergeants at arms, which are basically the barons or the dukes, commanders of peasant troops. So I have 1 mounted to go with the mounted yeoman, and then 1 dismounted, who's got his big shield and pole arm with a little dog. Dog, which actually came off the sprue. He is entirely Games Workshop. He is entirely Fire and Forge. So he's one of the others. I swear I did have, no, in fact, those figures have gone. They've gone to the boy. He was painting stuff up. He's been painting dragons and such, because why not? Let him paint. Let him get into it all. So, not too sure what the pointage is on this army at the moment. I have run I have run 2 lances of knights, usually 2 banners of infantry with a banner or 2 small banners of archers. The archers, I find that in the old world, I should say, shot troops or troops who fire troops whose entire thing is to fire at stuff, they don't seem to be very powerful, which is, with one hand, a really, really good thing, but also kind of annoying. But hey, I'm glad that no one's able to set up like proper gun lines and just shoot down their opponents as they come at you. Because it's, you know, I mean, my entire army is based around the idea of come closer, I'm now charging you, because as my opponent has discovered, again, the gloriousness of being Bretonnian is that I can pray to the lady and thus give my opponent the first turn, which means they get closer, because, let me see if I get it right, Bretonnian knights have a base movement of 9, because they're war horses are elven-ish. They have elven blood in them, so they are a little bit quicker. They have swift stride, which allows them to get an extra d6 on the charge. And they roll 2d6 anyway. You then remove one, throw them, and no joke, if you roll well enough, and I generally do, and if you've given your opponent the first turn and he's foolish enough to walk to have moved towards you because he needs to engage you in close combat, they're going in, and they've got lances, which ultimately ups their initiative, and the further they've gone, and if they've charged over a certain distance, which you're guaranteed to do, they will have increased initiative, which means they're going first. They have lances, which are increasing the strength and the armor penetration. Yeah, they are shock cavalry. Very, very nasty shock cavalry. I think genuinely only the Dragon Princes and the Empire Inner Circle Knights, I think, are the equivalent of these guys. Even the Knightly Orders, they have lances, but you have to buy those because they come with armor, shields and sword, and then you have to give them other weapons if you want them. So it's, yeah, interesting. I mean, the fun thing about this guy is unless you've got magical weapons, you can't hurt the Green Knight. No reason why I wanted to take him, because I thought, 3 attacks, why not? Beguiling aura on the unicorn, which means, oh look, you want to attack the lady on top of a unicorn? You need to roll 6s. Oh, you failed? Or was it you need to take a morale? You need to take a leadership test, pass that, and then you need 6s. Otherwise, you need 6s together. It's something like that. Yes, these are all done. As I said, yes, these 3 are all 3D prints. Fire and Forge, Satan, GW, Mishmash of Fire and Forge, and so on. Same with them. Satan. I mean, GW. Perry's, Mishmash. Yep, Fire and Forge and Perry's. And then 3D printed, GW, Mishmash, 3D printed, GW. Let me get it wrong. I actually think that a lot of the new sculpts are coming out with are very, very nice. Again, it's always something that GW has always managed to do, is that they know how to make a really nice sculpt of a figure. The only problem is that it's GW, isn't it? Yeah. If anyone was going to ask, oh, are you going to add anything else to this army? A trebuchet, potentially. But otherwise, no, not really. I'm quite happy enough to leave it kind of as is. It's big and nasty enough. I prefer to play 1,000, maybe 1,500 point armies anyway. Anything over that, I'm just sort of like, oh look, you're going to bring a hand. It's not. I'm not interested, because that's when you start getting big super stuff in, and I'm not there to play super toys. I'm not there to play silly toys. I mean, again, this is a very, very basic unit sort of thing. And again, someone might go, but knights, they're not basic. For Bretonnians, these are a basic army. You either have them or them as your basic choices. You also have either a unit of them and or a unit of them as your basic choices. You have to have a version of him, or you have a version of her, or you have him. And again, if you're going to play pure peasant army, that, well, ignoring the wedge of knights there, that is, ignoring them lot, that's a peasant army on its own. That is a very, again, ignoring them one in the middle, it's sort of like, yeah, I can run a pure knights army. Again, if I run a pure mounted army, I can do an errantry crusade, which allows me to even field Empire Knights, which is kind of handy, which a friend of mine does have, so I can borrow his Empire Knights, which gives me another lance or another banner of knights. It's just the fact that they can't do this formation, they have to go in line. But, what's the worst that can happen? I just use them as cannon fodder. I mean, no, because they're there to gloriously Domina Vote. Because God doesn't wield it, but the lady does. Anyway, I shall leave you guys to it. Thank you very much. And hopefully, actually less, look forward to, in the next couple of days, I will also look at releasing the other 6mm video of my British World War II. Because khaki, yay!